Always keep the pen and coffee with me.
I'm calling this Newington Board of Education meeting to order. It is Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. The time now is 7:21 p.m. As you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. At this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call our roll.
Michael Brandeis.
I am here.
Danielle Rose here. Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Here.
Beth Mankey, Hester Puckagner.
Here.
Richard LeBaron here.
Here.
Edie Sarati.
Here.
Cam Sharma.
Here.
Jessica Weaver.
Here.
Anastasia.
Here.
Everyone is present.
Very good. We're now going to move on to agenda item B, presentation of awards and proclamations. I'm going to read a resolution honoring the Newington professional secretaries. I enjoy this one. Whereas Wednesday, April 5th, 2023 has been proclaimed as Newington Professional Secretaries Day, and whereas the Newington Public School secretaries are qualified and dedicated professionals who relate positively to students, staff, and parents, and whereas the Newington Public School secretaries perform secretarial work of a complex, confidential, and responsible nature, and whereas the Newington Public School secretaries set the tone for the school by their pleasant and courteous manner and prompt attention to questions and requests, and whereas the Newington Public School secretaries contribute to the success of the entire school system and are always willing to go above and beyond their assigned duties whenever necessary. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim Wednesday, April 5th, 2023 as Newington Professional Secretaries Day. Be it resolved that we urge all of the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to Newington secretaries on this very special day. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation. Thank you very much. Let's give these secretaries a hand. All right, I know that all of our secretaries are online. Are any of them going to speak? I know Ms. Tigno is going to in a moment.
There are several. If they maybe want to raise their hand if they want to speak. I see Ms. Sunderland. I see Ms. Soto on the line.
Okay, if any of you secretaries that are online want to
Liz
speak,
Sadler.
just raise your hand.
They're shy. They're not usually shy.
Well, let's ask Ms. Tigno to come. You wanted to speak, correct?
No.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me at home, secretaries? Oh, that she nodded? Okay. I can't see her. Usually I write down words because it's hard to keep to a script when you're just kind of going off the cuff here, but hi, Annie. The secretaries are pretty much run the school in case any of them and the custodians, but the secretaries pretty much run our school. At Newington High School, there are 10 of them, and each one of them brings something special to our school. Whether it's definitely the first person you see with a smile greeting them, they have the answers to everything. I simply yell Anne-Marie's name every day for anything that comes across my desk. And I mean literally anything. If she doesn't have the answer right then and there, she will get it. And that goes for all 10 of our secretaries in our school. And I can speak as well across the district. Anytime I enter any of the buildings, I'm always welcomed. They always have the answers, and all the administrative staff and teachers speak so highly of them and the hard work that they put in before, during, and after hours. Their day certainly is not just 7 to 2:30 or 8 to 3:15. They are working constantly to ensure safety and a loving environment for our students and our staff. So can't say enough to all of you out there. So thank you all for all you do for our entire school district. Thank you, Dr. Fletcher.
Thank you. One more opportunity. Very good. I'll now open it up for board comment. We'll start here, work our way around.
I'm very talkative tonight. I apologize for it. So I have a little anecdotal story. So when I became a teacher 24 years ago, my sister is also a teacher, and she said, my number one advice to you is to become friends with the secretaries, because Ms. Stigno is absolutely right. They run it. They know everything. They'll get you what you want. When I'm like low on pencils and I don't want to go through the whole process, I'm like, I know you got some behind your desk, and they always take care of me. So they are absolutely the behind the scenes awesomeness of schools. And the Newington secretaries are awesome. So I have one other anecdotal story. So I had called, when I was on the board last time, I had to call to respond to going to a PTO meeting, and Donna had answered, and she was my son's secretary, all three of my children. I only have one kid right now because he's the only one I really, see. So I had called to respond, and she goes, how are all three of your children? And I went, holy moly. Like, I just thought that was impressive. I know I have an unusual last name, but it was awesome. And that's how much all of the secretaries care. They are just awesome. So thank you for everything that you do.
Yes, congratulations and thank you to all of our secretaries. Definitely hugely valued members of the school district. I know, bell rings at every single school, and they're the ones that are screening and making sure that visitors are welcomed and students have what they need. And whenever my daughter forgets a Chromebook or things like that, I have to pick her up from the nurse, they're always there. They know who I am. They make it their job to know all the students, to know the parents, and to get everything done that needs to get done. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you.
Just want to say and echo those sentiments. Just so deserved. Hi, Mrs. Savlik, love you. But I think what's really great is we recognize you got your own day, because truly, like we talk about everyday heroes and those unsung heroes, and we want to really say thank you to our secretaries, because I remember Mrs. Delzingle when she was at Kellogg, and maybe sometimes when I was over her house after school growing up. But it's one of those things where they're a part of our community. They don't just serve our schools. They're in our schools every day with all of our students. They're the first people that you see when you walk through the door, and that really can set the tone. It's where our first touch points are for all the community members, all of our parents. And that makes sure that, we as NPS are welcoming and making sure that we're safe, as well as getting what every one of our community members, students, and parents need. So just thank you for all that you do on the busy days, on the even busier days, and the really, really busy days, and especially, navigating all of the funds of education. So we appreciate all the work you do, and congratulations on your day.
Thank you.
Hi, so I just want to quickly thank all the secretaries. So we appreciate what you all do every day. Thanks a lot.
I just want to say congratulations and thank you to all the secretaries. I know that you have been a huge help, especially if my son lost his backpack or forgot something, all of that multiple times. So I want to say thank you, and we truly appreciate you. Thank you.
So I told Miss Tigno what to say, so that's why everything was so. I just think, piggybacking off of actually what Miss Tigno said, though, they are the glue in every school. They make not only, you can't run the building without them, obviously, but I think the parents themselves, they are, one of the first people that we think of when we have to contact the school, when we have any sort of needs. It's just funny that they are the ones that are at that front desk and deal with so much that we never get to see, and they deal with a lot that sometimes stops at their desk, and because they're able to solve those problems that maybe would have been escalated had they not had the skill and the ability to resolve those issues. So I really appreciate all the secretaries. I know that there's been a lot of talks recently about them at the town level, in some ways at this board table, but I just hope that this appreciation in this town of Newington can be more than just a day and more of just appreciating them every single day that they're here because they are so important to what we do. So thank you.
Not a lot left to say when you're at the end here. But just quick anecdotally, I went to elementary school at Elizabeth Green, and then when I was in college, by some miraculous chance, I got the letter saying I was going to be student teaching at Elizabeth Green. Amazing. And when I walked in the door, the secretary still remembered me and said, "How's your brother? How are your parents? Do your grandparents still live over there across the street? I usually drive by and I see your grandma in the window." And just blown away. But that's, and now as a teacher, in my experience, I have found all secretaries at schools just to truly be like that. They know all the kids, they know their family, they know their story. They know the teachers, they're there to support the teachers, to support the kids. And I don't know where we would be without them. There's just not enough that we could say to truly show our gratitude.
And I would echo all of their sentiments.
And I just want to give a bang out to Deb Craig, who's here tonight, even though she's not feeling very well. That's the dedication at its finest. I see Liz on the line. I see Anne Marie on the line. I'm sorry if I don't see everyone, but everyone is exactly right. They are the life's blood of our schools. They are the first face that families see, students see, and I value all highly. I'll be doing a spotlight on my update this week with your citation and other accolades. And I do know district-wide, I've seen little notifications going out about how they're going, secretaries will be honored throughout this week. So once again, our sincerest appreciation. Thank you.
Mr. Leverrier.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you stole my thunder. I was going to give a shout out to Deb. Really appreciate you coming out tonight. Not with COVID though. Thanks so much.
All right, once again, let's give them all a hand. Appreciation for them. All right. We are now moving on to agenda item C, which is a presentation on the equity work at Newington High School. Dr. Brummett, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. I am going to just boot up their presentation. In keeping with our theme this year, which probably will be our theme for many years to come, we are focusing on equity in Newington Public Schools in many ways. And the board has certainly seen other presentations throughout the last few months. But tonight, we will hear from Ms. Tignell and Ms. Freeman about the work being done at Newington High School. And I knew the board would be excited that there'll be students involved because they're the most important part of our school system. And I will turn it over to Ms. Tignell to introduce any other speakers and her program tonight. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is what I need to carry around all day, a portable microphone. Thank you for having us tonight and listening to a little bit of our work. So Dr. Brummett, I guess I'm just gonna go like this when you go to the next slide. Does that work? Okay. So there's a screen there and a screen in front of you, but our work starts with our vision and our mission. So I just want to draw your attention to that. These slides are what we put up at our PL every month when we have our building-wide PL, just to remind our staff of the reasons why we are here. But in our family, and those of you who know me, my mantra is family of learners. I truly believe we're a family. I spend more time with my NHS family than I probably do with my home family. So I really do take that to heart. So in our family, we believe that all of our students can learn, succeed, and thrive. And then you'll see the 3 standards there as part of the portrait of a graduate, to become communicators, thinkers, and citizens with a passion for their post-secondary plans. Along with the vision is our mission as we continue with fulfilling the promise of the portrait of a graduate by ensuring those equitable outcomes for all of our students. Next slide, please. District equity statement definition that we are all living and breathing. I appreciate that a team got together to come up with a definition that we can all use. I'm sure you saw this in other presentations, but throughout the district, we are using this statement to ensure just outcomes for each of our students by raising marginalized voices and addressing the imbalance of power and privilege. So our commitment, we are grounded in our work through the CCAR framework. Again, hopefully this isn't new to you, but Courageous Conversations has really helped me center myself. And this is what we're using with our staff, again, throughout the entire district. You'll see the 4 agreements on the bottom. When we engage in work like this, we stay engaged. We experience discomfort. We speak our truth respectfully. I'd like to add there, and we accept and expect non-closure. Again, some all common in this work. I want to make it very clear that I am not an expert in this at all. I make mistakes. I learn from my mistakes, and most importantly, I learn from those around me. The district from top down, our admin team here at central office, admin across district, I've learned from my staff, I learn from every day, and most importantly, I learn from my students. So that's why they're here. There wouldn't be a Newington High presentation without Newington High School students. And then again, if you know me, you know that that's true, and I do speak the truth. So we're working on this together. It's a commitment that we've made district-wide and certainly at Newington High School. So tonight, I'm going to give you a quick overview of our systems and kind of the work we're doing and going to be doing to help make sure that we make decisions for equity. Mrs. Freeman's going to talk about some courses and curriculum, highlight some of the things in that area that we've been doing toward this work. And then you will hear from our students as well from the Diversity Club, the work that they've been doing. Next. So the focus for this school year has really been to develop a system to inform decision-making and action planning. Some of the things which I know you know, but it's important to point out, Newington High School has 1,500 people in it. We have 1,300 students and a couple hundred staff members. Within that large system are a variety of departments, PLCs, and obviously our student body. So when we make decisions, it's important that there's an alignment and the structures are there to really build a sound system to ensure that the equity work is happening. So we took a look at our systems, and the next slide will show this, but not yet, Dr. Bummett. And I can talk a little bit through how we did that work, but I just want to make sure that you're aware, you know, really what we're talking about when we're developing systems for Newington High School. There's the size and number of students and staff that we do have, the needs at the various levels. Our departments are in various places. Again, but we're all doing the equity work, and we're using the equity lens at all levels to make sure that we're making our decisions. I've also been working with CERC to help strengthening our systems. At the staff meeting yesterday, I gave like a spiral. I felt like I was spinning. We have all these different teams, all these things going on. And then the next one was a bridge. We're really trying to build those structures to ensure equity and alignment, and that there's communication, kind of everyone's talking to one another to best support our students. Next, Dr. Brummett. It's kind of a space bar thing. All right, so Newington High School structures and system. At the very top, you'll see school improvement team. So we have a school improvement team that's comprised of teachers and administrators that oversees our school improvement plan. It also does a variety of other things. So I'm going to streamline this very briefly for you all, but the work that we're doing in the school improvement team next year and the coming years is really going to concentrate on making sure that we are aligned with our school improvement plan. That's as a whole, as a building level. When you look at the bottom left corner there, the EIP team. So as you know, at Newington High School, we have house teams, 3 houses, those of you who have gone there or have kids there, to break it into smaller families to make sure our students get what they need. That's at an individual level. So students can come through that process, and we're talking about specific students. So as you can see, there's a big jump from the overall to that tiny piece at the bottom. So what structures and systems can we build to ensure that whatever we're seeing as individual needs, if there's a pattern or something that needs to be addressed as whole school, that's being communicated up and down to ensure the equity work. So Dr. Brummett. So the next line of system that we put in, we have 3 kind of buckets of teams that will be looking at different parts of our school. So our school climate is going to be monitoring school attendance, behavior, and wellness. Then we have our equity team, which again is across the district. That's going to be looking specifically at school-related efforts to ensure equity. And then our ILT team, and that's our coordinators and admin team at the high school. The ILT, so each coordinator oversees a department. In Newington High School, we have several departments: math, science, English, world language, CTE, school counseling, special education, a number of departments that kind of feed into the ILT team, so we understand academically what is going on. And then within each department, we have professional learning communities, again, to take a look at, to research different strategies. I know Dan Diaz last week spoke about the research that they're doing. So in the PLCs, so say the science department, they may have chemistry, biology, and physics PLC teams. They do the work within those teams to take a look at students to see if there's patterns. What kind of research can we do to ensure equitable practices are happening that best meet the students that are before us right now? And then that work can funnel up into the department PLs, which goes the ILT, and then helps the overall school improvement. And the last set of arrows just ensures that the communication is happening amongst all those teams. So the individual house teams are talking about specific students that come from the PLCs, and that information is shared out amongst all the teams. Again, if the EIP teams are noticing a pattern, let's just say all 9th grade boys have a high number of referrals. Why is that? So maybe it's something that the school needs to take a look at and take a deeper look into to ensure that our school improvement plan is set to kind of address those needs of our students as a whole. So a lot of systems in place, but really strengthening those structures to ensure good decision making is happening. So that's my piece. I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Freeman, who's going to talk a little bit about our courses and curriculum.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here on behalf of Rosanna Vassal, who's the World Language Coordinator, Sarah Whalen, who's the English Language Arts Coordinator, and Luz Antonio, who is the Social Studies Coordinator. More importantly, I am here on behalf of all of the teachers of those departments, and I hope through the short amount that I have to share, you'll be able to hear the incredible work that our teachers at Newington High School have done. Through the work of courses and curriculum, we are trying to draw in voices that represent our student body at Newington High School. You've heard about some of the changes in world language. We have 2 new courses that will be going in next year. One of them is Portuguese for native and heritage speakers. So this is a class that will focus on Portuguese literature, current events, films, and the class will take place specifically in Portuguese. You may not remember, so I'll tell you that Portuguese is the 2nd most widely spoken language outside of Spanish in terms of second languages at Newington High School. So we thought it was really important that we have a learning community for students who are proficient in that language, and they're able to work and learn at really high cognitive levels in their native language. And so far we have, I think, 16 students that are signed up for this class. So we're very excited about that. The other class that we're having, I'm going to do my best here, Panorama de Literatura Hispanoamericana. Mrs. Vassal is probably listening, so she'll give me a grade tomorrow. This means Survey of Hispanic American Literature. This class in the World Language Department is going to be a study of literature that is either written by Latino Americans or written about Latino Americans. So it is a study of that culture through literature, and all of the literature is in Spanish. So this is a class for native Spanish speakers, but it's also a class for native English speakers who have a world language, like a level 4 proficiency, or through approval of the world language coordinator. And that's really to ensure that the students have a level of proficiency in Spanish, that they can communicate, they can read at a level of comprehension as well. So that's world language. We move on, Dr. Bremen, to English. The first class that I'm going to talk about is an identical class to what I just talked about in world language. It has an English title because all of the literature will be in English. So what's really awesome about these two courses is all of the literature that will be read in the panorama class will also be read in the survey class, but it will be in English. The class is for any student who speaks English. That might be if English is a student's second language or if English is their first language. So what we're really excited about is having a world language and an English teacher being able to collaborate one another, meeting some of the same learning standards and being able to talk about culture and talk about diversity, but within two different languages and really supporting two different types of populations of our students. Within English, we have had a long-standing course, Women in Literature, that has been here even before my time that I've been at central office. So there was, our English department recognized a long time ago that women voices were not ones that there was a space for in a traditional English curriculum. And that course continues to be very strong and popular among our students. Most of you know that about 3 or 4 years ago, we had an introduction to African American literature. That course is still running, and that course is doing very well. But one of the things that the English department has done is instead of adding just kind of singleton courses that are going to hopefully support and represent and really be windows, mirrors, sliding glass doors that we talk about for our students, we also want to look at our American literature. So when most of us went to high school, we could probably name the American literature that we read, and it would probably be all the same. And that wouldn't matter if we were 25 or if we were 85, because a lot has not changed in terms of what we perceive to be American literature. So the English department now is having conversations about what do we really mean by American literature? What does it mean to qualify as being American literature? Is it that you were born in America and that qualifies as American literature? Can you have been born in a different country and you emigrated to America and you're telling your story as an American through that lens? What are the types of stories and themes that we would look at through American literature? So that's a lot of the work that the teachers are doing. They're feeling a real call to action to make sure that there are multiple perspectives and stories that are told in some of our very traditional classes that students are required to take. And finally, in social studies, a lot of the work that the teachers have been doing is taking a look at our U.S. history content. U.S. history content has traditionally been told from one viewpoint. And I think a lot of us here know that. Our history teachers maintain the highest level of professionalism and really maintain their own standards of professional learning to make sure that they're telling accurate stories of history from different perspectives. But as all things, we're all learning. So this year, their focus has been on looking at sort of the story that we tell. When I say we, I mean Newington Public Schools through the U.S. history curriculum, and sort of looking at what are other perspectives in that time in history that maybe we haven't explored. The adults doing that learning themselves, and then figuring out, wait a minute, I'm wondering if this is kind of a perspective that we need to bring it into the classroom, again, so that the history of our students in front of us is also represented. So this is in our courses and curriculum end. And if Dr. Bremen would go to the next slide. I shared with all of you about the bilingual program that we will have in place next year. And due to the efforts of Tom Myler, and I have to give all of the credit to him, he has been able to envision a program that will come to light for our bilingual students. I'll remind you that we have a bilingual program going in next year because of the number of Spanish-speaking students that we have. The trigger number is 20. We're up at 31, so we jumped awfully quickly this year. So you can see there's sort of a list of courses that we have in place. from reading courses where our Spanish-speaking students are going to be learning some basic reading skills around phonics and decoding, all the way up to intermediate EL courses where we're supporting our students with more comprehensive reading strategies around vocabulary development and understanding how to access text that is more related to content. We will also have a bilingual language lab. That'll be something that's new next year. That'll be staffed by Mr. Myler, but also with a bilingual tutor. Mr. Myler is not considered to be technically bilingual in Spanish, although his students think that he is. He's actually earned a grant to go to Mexico for an intensive study this summer for an immersion program for him to further improve his Spanish. If you want to talk about a teacher who is a self-learner, he has learned Spanish by watching television in Spanish. And if you ever hear him, I can't keep up with him. If you thought my saying the title was fancy, nope. Mr. Myler is, he's become proficient, and that is all on his own learning. So the last thing I'll point out is that we do have some classes in there. We call them SIOP classes, Sheltered Instructional Observation Protocol. Really, what you need to know about that is we have targeted history courses to make sure that we're giving a lot of professional learning and support to our teachers. Learning history is probably the most challenging thing for students who are not from this country. They have no background knowledge. So typically you can think about if you were born in this country and your teacher says even something like the Pledge of Allegiance, we all kind of know what that is, even if we can't give details. If you're somebody who has just moved here and you have been in the country for all of a week, that is all brand new information for you. So that makes these content areas specifically challenging for our second language learners. So that's why we're providing support for those teachers to make sure that our students are fully supported. Now we're going to move on to the best part, which is our students. I'm going to turn it over to Barbara, who is the president of the Diversity Club, and Barbara is going to introduce all of her colleagues that she has here with us, with herself. I told them they had to come up to the table. I don't know if they're going to or not, but they have great things to share. Just make sure you speak on them. You don't have to hold the mic, just hold it. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. How are you guys doing? Good? We're good. I hope so. All good? Okay, so I just want to say about what Ms. Tigna was saying earlier, how she was saying like we're not experts here. And I just want to say neither are the students, because we could only base off the things that we're saying by the experiences that we have here. And I think having meetings like this and involving the students with the meetings like this is like a right step inside the right direction, because it really allows like the students to have insight on the decisions that are being made and how it could better the school for the students and also just the environment as a whole. So I think making this a plan for like more students in the future is really good. And yeah, I just want to say that. So I'm Barbara Manning and I'm president.
I'm Noella Tizolana and I'm the vice president.
I'm Danielle Day and I'm the treasurer.
I'm Mary Angel and I'm here supporting my friends. I'm part of the club.
I'm Jalen Gonzalez and I forgot what I am in the club.
Okay, so basically to start the next slide. Okay, yes. So the first one that we talked about is open and honest conversations and how we brainstorm about it.
So I'll be talking about the open and honest conversations and the brainstorming. So basically the first day of the Diversity Club, we all introduce ourselves. And the whole point of Diversity Club is in the word where there's diversity, where I feel as I can only speak on my experiences and what I went through, but I don't know others' experiences. And I could say that we're all ignorant to things that we don't know. And that's what makes education so important, that we're learning from different experiences. So we instantly had an open circle where we just all started ranting about certain experiences or issues we had in the school. But at the end, we all asked each other, what can we do to make the school better? Because the number one thing that I find like very like beautiful is that like Danielle and Jalen also said themselves that they have, also Barbara, we all have siblings that are coming into the school. And what we said is that we want a better environment for them. And it's not only just for us, it's for the other students in the school. So that's the whole point of Diversity Club. So when we have our open and honest conversations, we're trying to do the best for students and even staff too, to better understand the students. Movie night.
Okay, so I want to talk about movie night. So our first fundraiser, it was movie night. We did the movie Coco because we thought it brings in some cultural stuff, you know, some Hispanic cultures, and everyone loves it. It's just a happy movie. So yeah, it's sad. I know. So it was just like a fun activity to make the club known and then bring people together, you know, just have some fun together.
Okay. The next one that we recently just passed over inside February was Social Justice Week. And it was basically a collective of like days that we did to like celebrate like the Social Justice Day and just have like a week to like put things together. So the first couple of days we did like things that we could dress up in. Like we did Wear Your Flag Day. And then we also did like a cultural day at the end of the week where like people could dress up in like traditional clothing. So like wearing like something that represents their ethnicity or countries. And we also, the biggest thing that we did was hang up flags inside the hallway, how you could see inside the picture back there. And we did it by a survey where students could pass in like any flag that they feel like they could represent. And they could either put their names on it or they didn't. And then we would hang them up in the hallway. So when you would walk past it, people could see their names. And I saw like a whole bunch of other students like taking pictures of it, like, oh, that's my name, that's my flag, and stuff like that. So it was a very like special, like, moment to have and see. And then the last one.
So when we first started up the Diversity Club, again, we did a whole meeting with a bunch of different schools and we talked about different topics that we were going to bring to our school, and kids from, I think, one school talked about, like, had presentations. Yeah, I think it was Connor, had presentations for us about, like, it ranged from LGBTQIA plus issues, ecocentricity, Islamophobia, hijabophobia. And so we just kind of took all those and we took some notes and we just learned like about it, things that we didn't know about before. Miss Later had us go to things that we weren't so familiar with and go to those meetings instead of things that we are so familiar with. So then we could get a very good, like, diverse, like, not to say that because we're a diversity club, but get a diverse look at everything and from other perspectives.
And so, moving on to our future plans, we were thinking of like, what's a good way for everyone to like understand their peers, their teachers, etc. And we were like, why don't we just do it through food? Because who doesn't like food, honestly? So we were thinking of doing it through a small scale and a bigger scale. So the small scale will be within Diversity Club itself. And within the event, we'll have each member bring a food that represents their culture or something that they would like to eat at home. And then when they bring the food, they're going to bring like a history card. So it'll be like the history of the food, the origin, what does it mean to them, and why do they like eating it so much. And then the larger scale will be within the entire school. So this is including the students, the staff, the teachers, etc. Because we really feel like in order to be diverse, we need to include everyone. It can't just be the students itself. Everyone needs to be represented.
And the next idea we had was just different. So Diversity Club isn't just about like, you know, like one certain thing. Like we wanted to like expand it. We wanted to make it like, it's not just one part. We want everyone to be seen because that's just like what we want our message to be. So one of our ideas was to volunteer and help at a soup kitchen. And we just want to give back to the homeless community because we feel like that is like a really big part that isn't being shown much. And especially with like COVID and stuff, like you see a lot of like homeless people around, and it like affected me personally because I think that that's just such like a sad thing to see, and I really want to help those around me because it's like you never know when you're in that position, and you never want someone to have a blind eye when they see you. So I really want to like be able to help those if I can.
So, what's it called? So, sorry. The last part about the slide is the mentorship that we plan to do with the middle schools. So, we brought up how Noella brought up earlier about how we would like to introduce this into younger students because a lot of the vital life experiences that do shape the way that you look at the school do happen at younger ages, especially like middle school. And I think making like little seminars or like little like lessons that the high schoolers could take to the middle school will be a very interesting like thing to present to the middle schoolers because like middle schoolers do look up to their older counterparts, especially like their older siblings. And if they see their older siblings like supporting this and doing this, it will really shape the way how they will look for the future in the middle, inside the high school. And then also potentially, if we can change the way how they view the inside of just the high school environment in general. So I think maybe doing like a mentorship with middle schoolers would be very, very good to introduce to them.
So what we have learned about, so for me personally, I learned that through like our social justice week, we had an idea to kind of do like a parade throughout the school, just so people who are wearing their cultural clothes can just feel like proud of themselves. And we decided to take into account that some people may be afraid, but when we were having the conversation in like our space, like the question came up where it's like, how would we feel about it? Like, would the kids' remarks from the sidelines like really bother us? And what I just thought in that moment was like, you know, if you're always like afraid of doing something, it's never going to get done. So it's really just important to just act sometimes. And even if like you are embarrassed in the moment, it's like later on, you're going to feel really proud that you did go past and beyond like what you thought you could do. And so, yeah, that's what I thought was really important.
So the biggest takeaway I have is the importance of communication. And I've come to realize that you can't expect other people to like know what you're going through or to understand your experiences if you don't tell them directly. And this really came to me when I had like so many conversations with Miss Tigna, like going through like how we can improve the school or like what are some things that I noticed that like could be harmful to like some people, some staff, or some students. And so I realized that if you have these open and honest conversations, the work will get done. And it's coinciding with what Jalen said, like you can't allow fear to get in the way. If you're afraid of like what other people are going to say, that's going to hinder the success of what you want to get done.
Okay, so my takeaway, I said open-minded to people's opinions because, so as I've been getting involved in more stuff, I feel like when someone is open to what you have to say, you're more willing to say what you want to say to them. So as we're talking about diversity, if I feel like I need to express myself about something that I'm going through, I would want someone that has an open-minded to be able to see like what I'm going through and understand that.
Okay, so what my takeaway was learning new outlets to spread awareness. And recently what we did inside for February for Black History Month is that we made our own slides to put on like the TVs around school. So that way we could highlight newer individuals that not like the only individuals that are taught throughout like the curriculum, like on a repetitive like level, but like to highlight other activists and like socialites and all that stuff, just to highlight that there's more people in our current era and in history that need that attention and need that light. And I think working with that and using that outlet to show that to the schools is really a good way how to like catch someone's eye about this information, because it's a very like easy way to see, because you see on the TVs, you're just gonna like follow it with your eyes. So yeah.
Basically, all they said kind of like echoes what I'm saying, like how to be more upfront and intellectually aware. Just like letting fear get in the way and also working on that communication and educating yourself. Like what Barbara was talking about with the Black History Month slides. Like you can ask anyone, even Miss Tigno and Mr. Harris know I'm a very, very blunt person. So she originally sent in slides of like new age activists and celebrities, and the person sent it back, which is like, no, we want to put Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King instead of these people. And I told Barbara, you are sending an email back and saying, we're not doing that, because what we're doing is that we're choosing to use people in a new era, because nothing's wrong with learning about these activists, but we want to know what's going on from today. There are not just 3 Black people that were activists. There are many of people that were activists. So I feel like that's very something that needs to be taught, because during Black History Month, I'm not going to lie, I kind of had my whole timeline messed up. I thought Rosa Parks and like Harriet Tubman were in the same era, but they weren't. I was kind of confused. I was just like, wait. I was like, wait, she died on my birthday? Like, I thought she was in this time. But but it's very important, because, you know, I kind of got lost in that. I'm learning about the same people. And that doesn't just go into Black, like, celebrities or activists. This can go into many of things. I feel like it's very important to educate our students about new age things. So in that moment, I told Barbara, you need to send that email back and say, you're not putting that. We're putting who we want to put. And we already had that conversation with Ms. Tigno, we had a Ms. Harris, and we had a Ms. Slater. And I also like to thank them, because I also go to them when I was talking about the parade. If anything, it wasn't even my idea. Miss Tigno was just like, we're doing a parade, we're doing a fashion show, this and the third. I'm like, okay, miss. Like, but I would like to thank them, because they really did help us. And I think they can all second that, where Miss Slater can have her conversations trying to help us. And Mr. Harris, I'm constantly just like entering his room without asking and just talking to him about random things. And he's always down to try and fix something. So I would like all of you guys, I would thank all of you guys for listening to us. And basically, like I said, I'm trying to be more upfront and intellectually aware about everything. And I feel like that's the #1 takeaway. So thank you guys.
That's like, okay. One more slide. Okay.
Oh,
So yeah.
all right.
So you think that I was about to say before we get up and go.
Oh, girl.
We have.
There's a hand up.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Oh, I just can't.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
This was like sorry. I'm just so, okay. This is one of this, I'm like a lost for words. I'm sorry. This was one of the highlights of my year so far, truly. I really, please, like it, for me, this was a beautiful beacon of hope. You felt compelled to lead, and you are in a school that embraces that, encourages that, fosters that, develops that. That is such a beautiful thing that does not happen everywhere in our country and even in our state. So what is happening at Newington High School is beautiful and good. I love how well-spoken, how articulate you were. You were making so many good points that I was having trouble like refraining from like snapping or clapping because it was so on point with everything I feel, and as an educator, everything I believe in and I've seen. I teach 5th grade, and I would love for you all to come talk to my kiddos, because yeah, no, really, but you're truly role models. You just spoke about creating this sense of belonging in the school with everyone, and your passion for that is contagious. It makes me want to be a better educator. I can speak, I don't like to speak for others, but I can speak on behalf of your teachers. I bet it makes them want to be better educators, and the students around you want to be better students. again, just reiterate, this was a beautiful, beautiful beacon of hope. Thank you for being here. Thank the Newington High School staff. Like, please echo my sentiments. The fact that this school has opened this up, that they can come into your office at any time and share these beautiful, beautiful creative ideas. That doesn't happen everywhere. It doesn't. So thank you. Sorry for being long-winded.
We're going right around the table.
Beth is fired up.
Sorry.
No, that's great. Yeah. I appreciate the fact that what Ms. Tigno talked about early on in the presentation was that she wasn't an expert. None of us are experts. And I think what I've really enjoyed about this presentation and the ones that were prior to this one from the other schools is that everything comes from a place of being honest and just being open and being willing to have conversations that maybe made us very uncomfortable in the past. And I think that the only way that we can learn about one another is to break down those walls and just be honest about who we are, what we think, and how we can connect rather than how we can divide. So I just love that about this effort and this presentation. Another thing I really enjoyed was that we're using data to guide us a little bit. We're kind of understanding, like, you know, who's in our school, what are they thinking, what are their concerns, how can we bring everybody together, and really just, we're not guessing, right? We're not just guessing what everybody thinks. We're really going to them and trying to find out how we can address concerns and thoughts and bring everybody together. Our student reps probably know this, but I'm a big fan of the mentorship aspect. I've been banging that drum about a few clubs, and I love the idea because I don't think high school students really understand the power that they have for the middle school students. You are the role models, and I think when and if you bring everything to them, it's going to show them a new path in high school, but I think it's going to get them excited to be a part of something even before they have that opportunity to. And it's going to give them the opportunity to start learning things that maybe they're not learning in class, but opening their eyes a little bit to something that they don't see every day. So I absolutely love that. I think, honestly, we should have mentor programs for like all of our high school major clubs, because it creates a pipeline too, right? It creates that pipeline of, once you get into ninth grade, there's a club or 2 or 3 or 10 waiting for you, you know, instead of having to find your way. So I am so in favor of the mentorship. And then the last thing, Beth kind of touched on it a little bit, but there are bad days as Board of Education member, okay? There's tough days, a lot of budget talk, it stinks, it's boring. But there, unfortunately, I would say, there's not a ton of times when we leave and we're proud. We leave, we see the work, we see everything that's happening, we hear it, and I just want you to know, at least for me as a parent in this district who doesn't have high schoolers yet, but every day that I get to talk to Mr. Harris, or I don't go to his office, he welcomes me to his house. But, you know, Ms. Tigno being the great leader that she is, I'm always so excited about my kids getting to the high school. But just this presentation and a lot of other presentations that your peers have given, our student reps as well, just make me feel so proud to sit at this table, to be in this town, and just proud that I made the choice that my kids are going to go to Newington High. So thank you so much for everything that you've done tonight.
Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say everything that just happened just blew my mind. I'm being honest. So I do tell everyone this. I grew up in a town that wasn't very diverse. And just to see that Newington has something like this is just, it just almost brings me to tears, okay? Just letting you know that. One of the things that I want to touch on was I saw that you had the flags going around. Myself being Jamaican and Pequot, you know, having those flags and seeing that you're not just one thing. I think that's huge, especially being a Black woman myself. You know, people usually judge and say, oh, she's this or she's that. And I'm like, I'm Jamaican, you know, I am, but you know, like seeing that was there and that the kids could put their name on it. It's like, oh, okay, now I understand. And that opens up that communication, like you were saying, so people can say, oh, I didn't know this. Tell me more about where you're from. And I love that you have that communication going through the schools, because we're all different. This is America. We're all from different places, and just it allows others to get to know who you actually are, as opposed to assuming what you are. And that's something that you really are bringing out just in general. Like you said, you worked with other schools, Connor, other places, and to me, that's amazing. One of the things that you also spoke about was that you were thinking about the cultural dishes. I did that in middle school a long time ago. A long time ago, over 20 years. But you know, and I was like, wow, that's a thing. You know, like people can actually see what I grew up eating. People can, you know, embrace my culture. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think what you're doing is such a beautiful thing. And I do want to say something. So I'm looking at your stickers on your computer, and it says empowered women, empower women. I want to say you empower me, because everything that you're doing right now is just amazing. So thank you.
This is actually not my computer.
Thanks to tell you. That I kept reading that. I was like, empowered women, empower women. This is really empowering. I love it. Whoever's computer that is, I need that sticker. But thank you so much for everything. Yeah, thank you again. Like, but like I said, I'm just gonna everything you're doing is beautiful, and I think that it's just amazing that Newington High School has this. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna echo what everyone else said. I mean, it's amazing work that you guys are doing, especially with the diversity club. I mean, I went to a private school, came to the States, and I think I remember when I was in college, I was part of one of these clubs, and it's amazing. And I love the idea about global eats, and I also love the idea about mentorship. So, keep doing a good job. And I think, maybe start a little club in the middle school also. So I think that'll be a good project for you guys. But thanks a lot. And, it's very inspiring work. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all. I'm having time right now. We usually call this part Love Fest. Like I call it Love Fest because I'm like, let's just give you your flowers, because you deserve it. But you really earned this one. Like honestly, it is just wonderful to hear each one of you. The coordination, we know we got a group going on. We had this prepped. I mean, it was flawless, and I mean that. It's so good to put, like Mr. Branda said, we sit here, we do a lot of budget talk, we talk about these things, and we're like, okay, students are going to need this. We're going to need this. But to hear it, see it, right? When we talk about seeing representation, being that representation, that's what we are about. And that's what we want to see. So thank you for putting a voice to that, because it's so helpful, not only for us, but the community at large that watches, to be able to say, like, this is what we're talking about when we talk about the word equity. Like, we are meeting students where we're at. We need to meet you where you're at. And what do you want? Because you're a part of this. You're a stakeholder. And so for us to hear that, each one of you giving a different perspective too, is incredible. And I have to say, like, you are already coming up with the ideas on your own, working together to do that is something that, frankly, a lot of adults are not capable of doing. So having those skill sets right now, like Ms. Tigna was talking about the portrait of a graduate, right? We want to set you up for success. So like, you leave, we're going to miss you, but you're going to bless this time and bless our next generation coming up. And so that you said that, and you have the foresight to be able to say, you know what, I want to leave it better off than where I came from. That's what half of us want to do here, right? Like, you want to leave it better off for the next generation. To do that at such a young age, when you are still growing up in this generation, is so impressive. And it's just one of those things that I just get so excited about. I'm like, can I come? But I really just want to emphasize to the point about how all of you presented. It's not an easy task to be able to come here and you're like, I don't know who you are. I don't know, what is this? Like, what is Board of Ed? But to be able to speak out and then just be, like you said, authentic and be outspoken about how you feel. And I will say, I enjoyed like cultural night when we did like world language, and I was like trying all the foods, and that was fun. I will say, maybe suggestion, dance night. If you want to bring Bollywood back, I'm just saying, I was on a Bollywood team in college. Like, we could bring it all together. Dance is a lovely cultural thing. That's just one of the things I would love to see, because mostly we just love the performing arts here, and we wanted another reason to come see y'all. But truly, like, to see that and have that in the middle school would be awesome. And to be able to see this, start and then cultivate and grow, so that, 5 years later you come back as alums and you're like, look at what I did, look at what I started. And we're in like, 9th year, 10th year of this, and you're coming back for reunions of Diversity Club. That'd be awesome. So congratulations. Thank you so much for coming, and on your weeknight, and, just having this time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and you can come anytime. Don't worry.
Oh,
You can come anytime. Don't worry.
I'm gonna take that.
Hey, ladies, I just wanted to say a few things. I wanted to say one thing to all three of our presenters. Madam Vice President, what's your name again?
Noella.
Noella. Something that you said that stood out to me was very much towards the beginning. You said that you want to include everyone through open conversations. I think that you're very well spoken. And what you it wouldn't surprise me if someday that you're, you know, at this side of the table one day.
Everyone tells
Yeah.
I tell her this
I do,
every
yeah.
day, every day.
Well, and all of you are, but you stand out to me. I don't know. I like you. With the diversity club, and one of the events that in your discussion that really stood out was your inclusion through the flags. And one thing that I would really want you to remember is that, you know, we are all Americans.
Right.
And one thing that does bring us all together is that flag right there. Okay? I want you to remember that. Secondly, I'd like to just address Principal Tigno. Thanks for your presentation. With regard to the portrait of the graduate, one thing that I said last week during board member comments was making sure that we're really, especially with the events that happened in Tennessee a couple weeks ago, that you know, that we're really paying special attention to our students with mental health needs, that they are growing up, and when they leave our school, we need to make sure that they have that portrait of a graduate, that they have the skills that they need and the tools that they need to be functioning members of society. Okay, that's you know what I'm talking about, and you're on it, I'm sure. And this is, and I'm not expecting an answer right now, but with regard to the what does it mean to be an American author? I'm just wondering, maybe we can get a discussion at our next meeting. Is you know, what should be brought in as American literature that our historically classical pedagogy may have not considered before now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I think you guys ladies did a fantastic job. I loved how organized you were, how well spoken, and your messages. All five of you said something just amazing, and I think that you're all fantastic. I really appreciated your open conversations where you guys were, you know, in a safe space. You talked about how you had brainstorming. I think that that's really important, and what you said about, you know, making sure that your younger siblings have a really good, even better experience in the high school. I think that, you know, these middle schoolers currently in middle school had, you know, COVID, everyone had it, but, you know, my daughter in 7th grade was, 4th and 5th grade was just not great. So she's in 7th grade now. 2 years she'll be in high school. And, you know, there's a lot of students that didn't get to experience a club in middle school or didn't get to experience that. So I think that you thinking about the mentorship and open and making the club something that everybody in the school can enjoy and can be a part of, I think is fantastic. So please expand. You know, I don't, how many members are in the club currently?
24. Yeah.
That's awesome. So expand as much as you can, and you're all doing wonderful things, and I very much appreciate your presentation today. And Ms. Tigno, thank you for bringing your family here. I love that you're so proud. I know that you sign every email, proud principal. But it really shows that you're, you know, the entire school, all, how many, 1,500 people in that building are your family, and thank you for sharing with us.
I promise I'm going to keep it short because I can't say anything else. But I have one, this is like my takeaway from this is I leaned over to Amy and I said, oh my God, these girls are amazing. Like, you're amazing, right? So you are inspiring, and I did hear that. But one thing I just want to say is you brought up your slides and you wanted new age activists. And I'm going to tell you right now, your club are the new age activists. And you guys should have been the ones on the slide because you guys are the ones who are going to make a difference. So thank you for all you do.
Sure. I just want to thank Ms. Tigno, Ms. Freeman, and Ms. Slater, who left before we could say anything. Because what the board may not know is many of the talented individuals that are at the end of the table are now going to be part of other work that we're doing with Dr. Hairston. And what struck me when we met is what was already reiterated, that you want to make it better for your younger siblings. And that's what we want to. So you knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you. And that was a very strong presentation. Very, very confident. I like that. I want to thank you for mentioning the family of learners. I missed that. I still have my 2 shirts hanging in my closet. My heart warms every time I see them.
I just want to say, I just want to say one more thing. I want to say thank you to those who are working on our curriculum and those here today. Like, I'm really glad that you guys are taking into consideration like what we have to say and are using that in changing and improving, because in our club, like in the early stages, like this is like the stuff we were talking about. Like, we want to change the curriculum. Like, this is like what we really want to like get at like in the bigger picture, and I'm glad that it's already starting now without us like even having to really like get into that. And yeah, it's like really nice being up here, because last year I was like, this is like, I really want to talk to the Board of Ed. I want to like be able to get our ideas out there, and like to be able to be here is like, it's just insane. Like, if you had told me last year that I was going to be here, that would be crazy. So thank you.
Yeah, and kind of like what you said, Mr. Leverrier, kind of like just like what you said, that we're all Americans. That's like the number one thing to point out, because because the thing is that in America, our main goal is that everyone says that we're a cultural melting pot, and the thing is that especially in our school, the reason why Diversity Club was made is that water was not boiling, it was not melting. So we wanted to make that melting pot. So just like what you said, we're all Americans. So let's act like we're all Americans. Let's be all Americans. And that's one thing that can unite us together. And that's what makes us diverse. That's what makes us different. So I do thank you guys for like reciprocating the energy, because like I always said, as a little kid, I always felt like my voice wasn't heard. And I think everybody can like agree that our voices were heard. So I thank you again for all your comments too. They're very sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay. So now we're going to move on to agenda item D, which is public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. If you are here in person, you can come to the table, or if you are online, raise your hand in the Google Meet, or you can call 860-665-8659. We do limit civil participation to 3 minutes. And I'll wait a few moments to see if anyone is going to take advantage. I have the Jeopardy theme song on my phone. I should play it. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Actually, it's pretty big, so I'd like to see you guys.
Okay, so I don't see anybody wanting to participate online. So I'm now going to move on to our standing committee information items, and we have a report tonight from our student representative. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks. So Trisha actually had a tennis match tonight, so she couldn't be here. So I'm gonna present on both of our behalfs. It hasn't been, I feel like, that long since our last meeting, and because we have April break and a lot of stuff going on, it's not really, we don't have as many events, but I will touch on a couple things really quick. So last week we had a half spirit week to get students excited for our pep rally. So that included sports day, blue and gold day, and then color wars. So each grade dressed up as like a different color. So that way we can get like a really cool like picture and everyone excited for the pep rally, which was also really fun. We had seniors versus teachers, Family Feud, and then we had Pie Face, where 4 administrators or like staff members were pied, one of them being Miss Tigno. So the students seemed to really enjoy it. And we also had a performance from one of our students, Efren Cologne, and our NHS drumline. And then yesterday, we had Yukon Day. We weren't really sure if they were going to win or not, but we figured it was a great way to get students involved, seeing as it was a big moment for Connecticut College to be noticed nationally. So that was a really exciting thing. A lot of students participated, and staff members as well. And then for our student council meetings this month, we have one tomorrow, our first one of the month. We actually have 2 this month because tomorrow's election information, where we'll be sharing who's eligible to run for student council based on participation throughout the year and how to run. And then at the end of the month, on April 27th, that will be our student council election where we elect our new members for the following year. April 20th, we have a themed Thursday, which is Disney Day this month. Very exciting for the end of the year. And then spring sports have also just started. A lot of teams had their first meets matches this week, and honor societies are also starting their induction ceremonies and application processes this week. And this month, kind of from now to the end of the year, to get students involved for the next couple of years. And then another thing we have is our Senior One Act, which is a one-act play organized by seniors from Newington High School, and it includes members of all the different grades from the high school, but it's mainly organized by seniors. And this year it will be on May 18th, and it is How to Overthrow Student Government in 7 Easy Steps. That'll be exciting if anyone's interested. And then there's also going to be a Newington Public Schools staff talent show, May 25th, and the proceeds from that will go to St. Jude's. And then just one last thing, we also had career fair last week, which was good to get the community involved in the school and students thinking about like what they could do, study in college or other options for careers as well that don't involve college. And then finally, we have our 2 proms coming up, junior prom April 28th and senior prom May 12th. And we have Prom Promise, which we're going to have teaming up with the Newington Volunteer Fire Department. They're going to have a mock car crash, and students from the drama department are going to act out in that car crash, and possibly some other resources as well to really help students understand the importance of safety, especially around prom, because it's very exciting, but we want students to keep in mind their own safety and well-being is the most important thing. And senior prom will be at AquaTurf this year, and junior prom will be at Glastonbury Hills Country Club. And I think that is it for this month, the next couple of weeks. And then we have April break at the end of this week. So, and there's also Newington DECA has their ICDC trip, which is for like national competitors and conference members to go to nationals at Florida. Yeah, Orlando, Florida, and just kind of network and get to know other schools and stuff. So that's about it. Thank you.
Board members?
Are you a senior?
I'm a junior.
Oh, junior. Okay. I hope we're not losing you. Thank you so much for your report. Just going back to what the other presenters were saying, just the importance of student voice. And if I don't know if we say it enough, but your voice here really does matter. And your reports help us understand the wonderful things going on in schools, but also please feel like throughout the rest of the meeting, you can also echo your ideas and thoughts and sentiments, because it matters to us. You know, you are the most important stakeholder in what we do. So please feel welcome and encouraged to speak and to share. And thank you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you guys talked about kind of working with the middle schools. I have talked to the Stop the Stigma Club about that, but we also had an idea that we're kind of working on, depending on schedules, with the end of the year being very crammed, very tight for all the schools, about seeing if we can get some of the bigger clubs like diversity clubs, student council, women in leadership, those types of organizations from the high school to meet with middle school students in like 8th grade from both schools to see if they can have some sort of involvement, kind of just like a club fair before they get to high school, because we do offer one in the beginning of the year, but that way they go in having like some resources, some people they can talk to, ask questions to, that type of stuff. So depending on if we have the capabilities to do that with the end of the time we have left in this year, we do want to like discuss that a little bit and see how that could work out theoretically.
We're going around, so.
Okay. So really quick on that, because I'm a big mentorship fan. I think what might also work in the middle schools, and this doesn't mean your idea is not great, it is great, but middle schoolers tend to be a little shy with initiative also. So while I do think, like immediately I thought, how cool would it be if all the clubs had like almost like a job fair where you have tables, but you may get some hesitancy of coming up to the table to have one-off conversations. So just another idea could be, what if those clubs had a meeting at Wallace and it was open to students to come to that meeting and just observe what the meeting is, just kind of get a vibe of like, if I'm interested in this, this is what I would be getting into, instead of like having the kids have to take that initiative to like go to a table and ask questions and have all the things. I think this way, if maybe they see it and they understand it based on their interest in specific clubs, then you might have that pathway to them reaching out to a possible mentor or the advisor, then coming to all the students who are interested. So I think it's a great idea. I think any way that you can involve them and help them understand what's waiting for them and how they can get involved, I think you're doing a great service to them, and you're helping them feel included in something that they might not even know exists. So just tossing that out there. But other than that, I think you did a great job.
I just want to say thank you. You come here in most meetings, and I know it's school nights and you take the time. So I just want to say thank you. And Trish for, taking the time out to keep us informed. I mean, I get excited when I hear about it. I feel like I'm in high school again. Sorry, I just kind of do. I'm like, I want to go. Is that appropriate? I want to go. Like, okay, so I just want to say that. I also was going to ask one thing, and I think I asked it last year, but it was with different student reps. So April is Autism Awareness Month, and I was wondering if you're doing, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, like our fire truck is like amazingly decked out. It is like beautiful. I've never seen a fire truck like that before. I want to go on fire truck. But are you doing anything to make and the students aware of like other students with special needs, or kind of connecting with them, or maybe is that something that you guys can look into?
I'm not 100% sure if we are, but I think it's a great idea. And I think a lot of students would really respond to that. And we have in the past done similar things, calling attention to certain different issues, like Diversity Club mentioned slides on the TVs in the school. So there's many different things we could do, but I will talk to some people about that to see, because that's a really great idea to get students involved for one big like kind of thing to bring us together.
Hey, so I just want to quickly thank you for coming by, and Lane, thank you for the updates. It was great. Thanks.
Have fun at prom.
Thank you as always. Have a great spring break too.
I want to apologize for missing your update. I ran to the bathroom, I got caught in the hall, so, but I'm sure it was wonderful. So, but I want to apologize because I was very rude on my behalf that I walked out, so thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you very much for the updates. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for having me. See you next time.
Okay, we are now moving on to agenda item F, other business information items. First is the report of the Health Benefits Fund performance. Dr. Brummett, turn to you and Lou.
I will ask Lou to briefly describe what's going on there, please.
Thank you. For the March 20th report, we got a revision from the town a few days ago that they had incorrectly calculated the what was due as of March 20th as far as the status report. In my mid-February report that I made to the board, I was estimating we were running about $140,000 ahead. There was no indication that anything was wrong, and then when we got the valuation showed negative 170, is total like $300,000 out of whack. So one of our employee benefits person who helped track this, was working with the town over a week to figure out what went haywire in their aggregation of information. I couldn't tell you exactly what, none of the numbers match up, and the Anthem Blue Cross system has been degraded a lot from what it used to be 5-7 years ago. So it's grabbing a lot of pieces of information instead of having Anthem really provide you a comprehensive report. So all I can say is, I apologize for the human frailty that went into this, and we're doing okay so far this year. We're running a bit ahead. No major warning flags on the horizon here, and the recommendation wouldn't change as a result of this modification. If we were running $1 million ahead and we had some urgent issues we need to do, well, maybe we would take a chance on redirecting some of the funds, because one of the caveats of the program is we're on the hook if it goes bad once we make that decision. So the illustration I just mentioned, if we had $1 million ahead and we want to use $300,000 to accomplish something, so our number is only 700,000, and then the number comes in at 550. Well, all of a sudden we're not covered anymore. So we would have to find out a way to make whole the plan because of that. So we always have been extremely cautious about recommending changes, because it can change on a moment's notice as far as how volatile the claims are. So the good news is it's going good. It's not going bad. And, we just stay the course, and recommendation, stay the course and not do anything and see what the credit comes out at in October. Any questions? Board member questions? Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is an action item. It is board policy 3436, the use of credit cards.
Turn that over to Mr. Farisi.
Thank you so much. This is a policy being brought before you this evening. I believe it was 2 meetings ago. We had brought it forward and had lengthy discussion around this policy. The policy subcommittee had met multiple times around this policy. We also reviewed samples from CABE, Shipman and Goodwin, and then also had our attorneys review the policy as well, because this is a new policy and one that we have not kind of ventured in this area with before. So at this time, this policy comes before you just as a policy to put parameters and guidance around the use of the district credit card, as well as credit card usage in general in district. So I'll pause there and see if any of my subcommittee members wanted to share anything.
I just want to add to this that there'll be a motion and then we can have discussion about it, but the time for changes unless everyone votes no, which is fine too, that it was the last meeting when we brought this up. So we had said, was there any questions, comments, discussions, and it was no one had brought anything up. So that's why we kind of put it forward to the vote today. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, very good. So at this point then, I will entertain a motion.
Move the Board of Education approve new policy 3436, the use of credit cards, district credit cards as recommended.
Second.
All right, motion is made and seconded. It's now open for discussion. Mr. Leverrier.
I just want to say that I did participate in policy discussions as a member of the public when this was up for review. Personally, I think that having a single transaction limit for the district credit card of $15,000 is way too high. Secondly, with regard to the regulation governing the issuance of the credit card, I mean, there's no mention of Board of Education oversight there, and that does bother me. I think the board should have something to should have a say in that. Thanks.
Any further discussion?
I just want clarification. Maybe Danielle or Steve can help me. This policy was put forward because we want to make sure that we can kind of see what being purchased. Am I wrong?
The policy is being put forward because when we were audited,
Was it
summertime, yeah, fall, it came in. So in December, we received a letter that, read that, there was no written policy or protocols around the usage of credit cards.
We already had the credit card. This is just.
Correct.
Okay,
We've had the credit card for decades.
okay.
Yes, so this is just putting parameters based on the auditor's recommendation. The auditor, we learned later, didn't really mean we had to put a full board policy together. They just wanted something in writing about our process. The procedure, they recognized the procedures that we were following were absolutely perfect. There was just nothing in writing about it.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to clarify like the difference between the policy and procedure. So the audit said, oh, we need a policy in place. They really meant procedure. So we're actually going above and beyond. And Mr. Freese said we'll be the first Board of Ed in the state to have an actual board policy on this. So creating history.
Can you just talk about like who, I mean, how many credit cards and who has them? Just in a nutshell, so we understand.
One.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
Dr. Brummett.
So, along those lines, we had asked that question when we were in our policy meeting too. So that last paragraph in the policy is not about the district credit cards. It's about if I, as a teacher in Newington Public Schools, choose to use my credit card, and what's the that really is kind of, that's on the superintendent to decide if I can be reimbursed if I use my credit card. Am I paying interest if I don't pay it up? Whatever that happens to look like. So that last paragraph is not in reference to the district credit card. It's in reference to if a teacher chooses to use their credit card to purchase something, what does that reimbursement look like? Which is still under the board policy. I mean, the board, what's the thing called, budget. They can't spend things that aren't in our budget, but that's between the superintendent and the staff.
Any further discussion? All right, I'm going to ask if we move the question. Any more discussion?
The question? Yes, move the question.
Move the question.
So, yeah, we're going to call a roll.
Michael Parada.
Yes.
Danielle Gross.
Yes.
Dr. Liz Fletcher.
Yes.
Frankie Hupagger.
Yes.
Richard LeBarriere.
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
Sam Farmer.
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Anastasia Cox. Yes. Motion passes.
Very good. Now we're going to move on to our last business item, and that is a discussion on the 2023-2024 budget. Basically just an update, I would believe.
So I am still in ongoing discussions with the mayor about, possible modifications to the budget. Last evening, we did discuss with the town council the 2 MOUs. And while they didn't vote on them, it appeared they were very favorable toward them. Just to refresh everyone's memory, that would be the MOU regarding last year's health benefit credit. That would be applied to the board's budget for next year. And the $400,000 MOU, there's going to need to be a slight adjustment to that, which I'll bring back to the board in a subsequent meeting. The town had already applied that to our budget already. So we would just have to modify that because currently it says it would go to the non-lapsing fund. So we will reissue that, run that by the board, and then I believe the town will be considering it at their next meeting. So both those are positive updates, and as the board is aware, I am monitoring the budget very carefully for hopefully increasingly less reliance on the non-lapsing fund, because I anticipate even when the dust settles, we will still have a budget gap. And I'm hoping that gap can be closed with non-lapsing fund monies to avoid layoffs. So that is my very brief report, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Fletcher.
All right, Mr. Brandon.
Just really quick, I don't think that we probably say this enough, but I really appreciate the work that you're doing to try and get this done. I know that I believe all of us at this table have expressed that we want to avoid laying off a single person. And I think really, in reality, the only way that we can do this at this point is through the freeze that you've put in place and monitoring everything and just trying to make it work within our parameters. So I just wanted to publicly say that I appreciate all the work that you're doing, Lou, that you're doing. I'm sure you look at the numbers until they just all look like one number combined. But I know it's hard work, but I think, and I hope that your staff understand that all of this is something that you're doing to keep them here and to keep us moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Weaver. Press it and let go and
Okay.
wait. Yep.
Just a procedural question, kind of like, just so we know, kind of next steps. Because I know this is still like back and forth, waiting for town council, all these things. What is the date deadline, I think, on that? And kind of what are the next steps of action that need to be taken as you have those conversations?
So the town will be finalizing the budget on the 18th, I believe. So from there, once the dust settles and we get our firm number, we would need to convene as a board and then reconcile. So what's the gap? And at that point, we would bring forward some of the additional potential reductions that the finance subcommittee as well as some board members have discussed. We'll get the final approval of those MOUs, and then we would talk as a board relative to how do we close the gap. So that would occur after the town adopts the budget. Again, I had conversations with the mayor as recently as today. So trying to keep those lines of communication open. I will say there's been good communication. And then Lou and I debrief about that and we will keep the board fully informed. So does that hopefully answer your question?
No, perfect. Yeah. And thank you for having those positive communications. We appreciate it.
Anyone else? Excellent. Thank you very much for the update. Next up is public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. You can call in at 860-665-8659. If you are in our Google Meet, you can raise your hand, the little symbol on the bottom of the screen. Raise your hand and we will call on you. We do limit civil participation to 3 minutes. What we ask is that you state your name and the street on which you live. All right. There's none there. We're going to now move on to our final remarks by board members. We can go around the table. Pass. Pass. Mr. Leverrier. Pass. Anyone?
One quick thing. There's been a lot on social media in case you didn't know, but one thing that I did want to point out is that there was questions about our agenda saying civil participation, and that has been there to my knowledge since Dr. Fletcher took the chair. And that was a directive that he made very clear early on that he would like us to have dialogue with the community in a civil manner back and forth, so I don't know if the confusion was just people who never pay attention to our meetings and noticed that today, but I just wanted to make clear that for the public that has been on our agenda as civil participation since Dr. Fletcher was chair.
Absolutely. And we welcome public comments. And, you're welcome to ask questions. We don't always respond to questions immediately because we want to be factual in our responses. So, sometimes people wonder why it is that I don't respond or board members don't respond immediately. That is one of the biggest reasons. We don't want to give you things that are not true. So, I welcome your participation, your disagreement and your agreement. It's welcome. That's what makes for a civil society. You're able to speak and disagree and move on and still be friends. All right, Jessica.
Adjourned. I'm sorry.
Well, the motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. And I want you to all remember, this is the first meeting with everybody here.
That is true. I have a question.